Yo guys, what's going on? It's Max, and in today's video, I'm finally excited to talk about the Skull Merchant now that she's officially live. Some interesting stuff to kind of go over. Wanted to talk about the build that I was running, the add-ons that are included, the general playstyle and strategy that I implemented, because in my small sample size of 7 games, just outright, 5 of them were 4Ks, 1 of them I let everybody out because I happened to queue against this Thalita 2 times in a row. This is the first game where I played normally. The second game, I let everyone go because I felt bad doing that twice. And 1 game, I was taken to the map, the game, and all 4 survivors played super well. They utilized all the pallets and resources effectively, and I really couldn't get much down potential. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit in terms of like strength and weaknesses of not just this build, but Skull Merchant as a whole, because I did play her quite a bit on PTB. So the build that I'm running really quick, it is Call of Brine and Trail of Torment for a little bit of gen synergy, and then Devour Hope and Undying. The add-ons I am running, the green one makes survivors oblivious when they are inside of the drone range, and it lingers for 15 seconds after they leave. And the brown add-on is if you have a claw trap on survivor, if they fast vault a pallet that is downed, it will instantly break, and if the battery is depleted, it will also destroy the claw trap on their shoulder. If it still has battery, it will continuously break more and more pallets as long as they have some battery on the claw trap. And I want to distinguish that a little bit because I noticed a couple streamers I was watching, such as like Otstarva, didn't notice that like you could actually get multiple triggers from that one add-on. And with the changes they made from the PTB to live, where the claw traps now last a lot longer, and the battery will refresh the moment you get a drone up mid-chase, you can kind of have a play style to just leave the pallets on the ground and let a survivor constantly fly through and break all the pallets for you for really quick downs. I didn't get much strength from that brown add-on. It might be because of my play style, and I'm happy to admit that that might be the reason why. But those are the add-ons I'm running. I think the Oblivious green add-on is something that I kind of wish was base kit, and the brown add-on I think is just an extremely strong effect, especially for a brown add-on. So that's the add-on choice. Onto the build. The initial playstyle I essentially set up is, and you can kind of see from this gameplay, look for the Undying and Devour Hope, set up drones that monitor line of sight to your totems, and protect the totems. And the reason why I want to say like you could protect them is because when you set up a drone, and you'll see in this situation, it's like a perfect example, where if they choose to clear the drone above the hex totem, you have more time to respond and get there defending the hex totem. If they choose to just rush through the totem, then the drone will then make them exposed. And now because that timer got extended from PTB to live, you can almost always just say, I just have 1 minute, I will get this chase, I will get this down. And from there, that's the value. That if I put a drone over Devour Hope, it's essentially pigeonholing the survivor into clear the drone, give me more time to possibly get there and defend it, and then I get some value out of the claw trap with the brown add-on, or ignore the drone, rush the totem, and now you yourself are one-shottable, and at least you get a quick down that way. I had a lot of success with that component of the build. The second half of it is Call of Brine, Trail of Torment. I wanted to get some value out of being undetectable. And the reason why, and this is kind of why the green add-on was really good, and I've mentioned this in a couple other videos, a few other content creators mention it too, where part of the issue with Skull Merchant's kit is that the fact that survivors are not oblivious by default in the drone range means that there's kind of this weird issue, not really an issue, but I think it's kind of a weird dynamic that exists for her, where essentially you have a ramping up terror radius as she's approaching your area or where a drone might be, and then it instantly just drops off. And it gives a clear indicator that she entered a drone range because she goes undetectable, and it gives survivors the opportunity to get some distance or move away. Now, if the survivors are oblivious, they have no idea she's coming in the first place, which I think is kind of a more apt stealth approach to her. And the other way that I decided to go against it, which I think this is kind of redundant, the green Oblivious add-on plus Trail of Torment. The other route that I had was if I kick a generator, I am now not only regressing that one a bit better, but I have undetectable. So now there isn't that weird ramping up and disappearing terror radius that happens. I am just permanently free to walk around and I can happily close the distance on survivors that may not realize I'm coming. So the way that the build and the play style I've had a lot of success with is, like I said, it's kind of like Trapper / Hag, where at the beginning of the game, I let them go ahead and run around, do the generators they need. But my goal is to get drones up on both Undying and Devour Hope. And the reason why, it is an amounting pressure that builds up from leaving those totems up, so they need to clear them. But sometimes if they happen to be nearby a generator, it happens to be a really good drone that can monitor both. If it's a drone that isn't near a generator completely, well, survivors really don't recognize a need to go into an area with a drone from the Skull Merchant. Now, I think in due time, when people are more familiar with her playstyle, they'll start to recognize that you probably don't just drop drones for no reason. But a lot of times people didn't really actively look for Devour Hope until I got the permanently exposed status. And you'll see here, this is like that perfect scenario where she has to cleanse Devour Hope. If she cleared the drone, I would have got here in time. But because they chose to break the totem, I now have the opportunity to just one-shot them. Luckily for me, there were 2 people in this radius, so I happened to build a ton of pressure from kind of forcing them to be in this area. That right there was a really good benefit for me being undetectable in my drone range. It's a little bit of help in the chase, not a whole lot, but that absolutely did, in my opinion, help me get that second down, because otherwise they would know where she was. I'm going to leave her on the ground because I got power struggled earlier. I don't know if that was... I didn't really call it out, but I know she had power struggle, so that's why I'm leaving her on the ground. And you'll see right here, at this point, I have 1 on hook, 1 downed, and even though there's so much pressure built into that side, Devour Hope got its job done. With Devour Hope and Undying, with that amounting pressure, there are 3 gens left and 7 hooks. And even in the game where I let everybody go, with the same Thalita back to back, there was 1 gen completed and I had 7 hooks complete, like done. I absolutely could have gone ahead and tried to clear them out of the game, but in my opinion, I just wanted to let people go. There were some flans and bloody party streamers. I wanted everyone to have some fun that way. So this is, in my opinion, a very strong build for her that I've had success with. I don't know if I mentioned it. I know a lot of people that were in my Twitch chat and collectively through YouTube comments seem to find her really weak, which I think that biggest issue does come from the fact that she really doesn't have much going in terms of the chase. You'll see right here, luckily for me, the Dwight decided to try and get the cheeky res, which I'm just going to swing into it. If based on the orientation of where it was, I would have gotten the down on the person he just picked up and kind of forced the unbreakable here. If she has it, she would have used it. He was in enough of a range for me to get the second swing, or, you know, the one-shot swing. And at that point, that's game. That's game with 3 generators remaining. I'm only using Call of Brine, which arguably some people might say I'm using slowdown, so it doesn't count. But had a lot of success with the build. I had a lot of success with just trying to protect the Devour Hope, add some lethality to her build. Now, the issue I had in particular was with the chase. Really quick, I'm going to cut to the game that I played on the game so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So I don't know how much I'm going to leave this as background footage. I'm probably not going to let the whole game play out, but truthfully, I think what it just boiled down to was the fact that I did not get any hook pressure. So my Devour Hopes, even though they were both up this game, the entire way to the endgame collapse, they did absolutely nothing. And the biggest reason why is because all of these survivors, I think, were doing a very good job of just utilizing pallets. And honestly, the biggest thing was, as long as they didn't get the claw trap on them in the first place, they didn't get the hook in the first place, getting that initial setup can be very difficult. And you can even see, like, right here, and this is also, you know, my personal issue. There's a lot of things I could have improved in this gameplay. The Atom got 2 dead hards against me. I put someone on hook right next to my Hex Totem, which generally I try to avoid so that information isn't clear. And you'll see this is a perfect example of if I put a drone right at a loop to try and keep them there, they just W key away. They shouldn't, in my opinion, ever really be getting into that one-shot territory. And in the case of this Atom, he doesn't care because he's already injured. So that first hit is really tough, especially when you have survivors like this that, in my opinion, were utilizing the pallets really well. I don't really have much of a choice in terms of the way that I was playing this. Now, granted, there are some easy misplays here. Like, I missed this lunge, I'm pretty sure. Nope, that was a dead hard. Okay, that was one of the forced dead hards, in my opinion. Even here, the benefit of the drone being able to control multiple floors is awesome. The person on the generator underneath me is completely exposed. I didn't really have a good way to get there, so I decided to just go for the good M1 on the Claudette. Granted, I probably should have done it earlier so she gets less distance on this vault here, but once again, you'll just see dropping pallets on me. I didn't even pay attention to her at that point, but I can't get downs. The first down on the Skull Merchant, in my opinion, is really tough, especially when survivors know what they're doing. Here you could see I try to play some weird mind game. Didn't work. She just kept on holding W away, which is really what you should be doing against her. So it's really hard where that whole idea of trying to be forced into this doesn't really work. You'll see with enough generators going off, I eventually get her exposed, just drop pallets and run away. It's, I mean, also part of an issue with the game as a map itself. Here she had a good balanced landing play and got away. At that point, I didn't really care to continue the chase. Adam comes in trying to go for a diversion play. And granted, all four of them had medkits. They were healing. They had some extra speed add-ons with the medkit, which that's a whole other issue. But even then, I mean, a medkit shouldn't determine the chase like that. Like, you know, even if I get the hit and run, sure, I lost the pressure, but you can't blame a medkit for not getting the second hit unless it's, you know, Septic Agent and whatever that purple one that gives you endurance. Those can help. So none of them had strong perks. None of them had, you know, crazy stuff, but it was a game I had some difficulty trying to get that snowball going. I did the same thing. I got the undetectable Call of Brine. You see some people here, but everyone just playing smart, running away. As I say that for someone walking right into me. Even then here, you'll see your W key away, get to the safe area, go downstairs. She just did an awesome job of keeping me clear. And I think that's one of the glaring weaknesses of the Skull Merchant is she doesn't have power in the chase. And I think that's where I could possibly consider something like Trail of Torment being switched out for another perk. The undetectable stuff is niche. It's cool. I like it. Maybe just, you know, Tinkerer for the sake of not needing to worry about the whole gen kicking thing. But Call of Brine being such a good perk, I felt that it was probably good to do it again. But once again, you'll see right here, like, I wasn't really paying attention, realizing that all four of them had medkits, but because they did, I really should have tried to commit to a chase. But everyone just knows how to move around the map. They know to drop the pallet when needed, hold W when necessary. And in my opinion, every survivor here just played well. It wasn't anything broken. Like, I'm not going to say that, you know, I got, like, unlucky or anything. I think everyone here just played phenomenally. And that was a genuine good thing. I had a difficulty getting through it. And I would imagine if I want to use this as the general template for, like, if you are going against good survivors, can you deal with it? And, you know, in this game, it was a solid map for them. They had great medkits. Well, not great. They had good medkits. All four of them did. And were able to kind of keep me busy for a long time. I think that speaks a lot about why people feel she's weak. And in this game, I can absolutely resonate with that statement. I had a hard time getting the first hit. I have no real way to secure a chase because once they're injured, they don't care that they're in the drone range. A lot of subtleties in the game, though, that made it very difficult. Like here, for example, if I passed a little bit better, I would have gotten it. But even here, she just goes ahead, drops down into the bathroom, starts running away, and it's just a lot of net distance. And of course, I could say, you know, the game is such a strong map for them, but all in all, like, I'm constantly just trying to shred through pallets, securing a chase. I chose to leave her there because I know there's a second strong pallet, but once again, if I realized they had 4 medkits, I would have known that. I eat another dead hard because I kind of forgot about it, but at this point, I can keep rambling on about the rest of the game. The game is over. I get like 1 or 2 more hooks in the end game, and they all secure each other, get out, teabag me at the exit gate. It is what it is. But I think that speaks to why people think she's weak. It's that initial and extended chase to secure a down can feel difficult. And I think if you were to replace, like, I was even considering replacing Trail of Torment with something like Play With Your Food, because like I said, Trail of Torment, I think, kind of, even though I like it, the green add-on for being oblivious and Trail of Torment kind of do a redundant thing for the build. Not that that's a bad thing, because they don't always happen together, but I do think that there was merit to have both of them. So in that case, I leave it up to you guys. Well, first of all, do you like the build? Do you think that my build was kind of sweaty or mean or anything? I don't think so. Like I said, I had a lot of success with it. I was having a great time. I just want to show the ups and downs of this possible build. Do you guys have any other unique ideas? I know when I talked about the video on Monday, some people dropped some really nice builds. As I get those teachable perks, I will be trying those on stream. If you do want to check that out, feel free to swing by Tuesday through Friday, noon to 2 o'clock Central. I will probably be playing the Skull Merchant for a good chunk of time. So if you got some build ideas, if you want some feedback, some questions, I'm not going to say I'm the most knowledgeable of her, but I do think I probably have a little bit more experience than the average person. So I hope that in saying that, I don't come off as egotistical. I do want to try and make her viable, but I don't want to be biased in any way saying that she's insane, she sucks, because that sentiment just exists for a reason. You know, a lot of people like her kit, they don't like her kit, and whatever the case may be, this was the build I had the most success with, but I do want to make sure that it's recognized there are some flaws in this playstyle. Granted, like I said, the end game, if you watch this game, there's clear mistakes that I made, which I could play better, but in this case, I could have camped that and tried to secure 1 kill. I just wanted to force everybody out because these guys were playing super great. Here, like, this was another mistake on my part where I go for the pickup. I tried to secure the hook, but that M1 right there, that protection hit, actually is enough time to the difference of me making that far back hook or not. I probably should have gone for the hook straight ahead in hindsight, but I thought this hook was easier to defend and control. However, she barely gets off right at the end, and they all walk out. And yeah, well played. I think well played on all their parts. Genuinely a few mistakes on my end, so I'm not going to say anything was unwinnable or anything, but I think this highlights in my opinion, weakness that the Skull Merchant has. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. I hope that this video wasn't too bad. I just kind of wanted to talk about some strengths and weaknesses for the build. You can see all the medkits that were there. You love to see it. So thank you, everybody. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day, and peace.